First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Michael Reagan is an American political commentator, Republican strategist, former radio talk show host. He travels the country and the world promoting the Ronald Reagan, the legacy of his dad, President Ronald Reagan. Michael Reagan on the line right now. Michael, good morning. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, good morning to you. Thank you very much. Yeah, radio, 26 years. Wow. Ooh.
It's I like to say that, the kid practicing the piano, that's what we do really in radio. He practices once a day for an hour. We practice radio once a day for 3 hours.
Yeah. And we studied for that 3 hours for about 24.
It is crazy, right? So, by the way, thanks so much for coming on. And I know we're talking about the Reagan Legacy Foundation, which honors veterans. Can we, right out front, can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah, we can certainly talk about that. You got Memorial Day coming up. You only have 300,000 vets left from the Second World War.
Wow.
You have D-Day right around the corner, 50th anniversary of Memorial Day, 77th anniversary of D-Day, and the Reagan Legacy Foundation. We figured out a way a few years ago to start to really remember these people who served in the Second World War and European theater as we've gone to Normandy on numerous occasions. My dad was the first president to speak at Normandy on D-Day in 1984 in that great point-to-Hoc speech that he gave. And we started working with the Airborne Museum there. And what we're doing is we're laying bricks in the ground in the walkways to have people remember who these people were that served in the Second World War. And it's just going over so very, very, very well. I mean, COVID's gotten in the way of some of this stuff, but it's so wonderful to see, especially see a World War II vet who goes and sees a brick in his name there at St. Mary Glees, which, by the way, was the first town freed by America at 4 a.m. in the morning on D-Day.
Wow.
All the paratroopers are headed there. If you saw the longest day, red buttons is hanging from the church steeple at St. Mary Glees.
Yeah.
And what people can do is they can go online to walkwaytovictory.com. They can purchase a brick. It's $250. They put the information, get that information. We put it on the brick, have it made, send the brick to Normandy. It's put in the ground for all time for people to see. And any of the money left over from the $250, which there's some, goes to a scholarship program we have set up for the men and women who served aboard the USS Ronald Reagan.
It's awesome, and when you think of that incredible generation and their sacrifice, and every year that goes by, there are fewer and fewer left to be able to tell the story. And I think for many of them, they were very quiet over the years and didn't speak. I know I have an uncle that was in World War II, would never speak about his experience in the war.
They never do.
Yeah,
they really don't. They're so humble. And I meet them when I see them in their late 90s, and they still travel there when they can.
Yeah,
they used to have celebrations at Normandy every 10 years. Now it's every 5 years because there's less and less vets that go there. But when you see them, it just they're in tears as they walk through that area that they landed in when they parachuted out of whatever they did. It's just wonderful to be able to sit and talk and hear their stories, like the young man at 17 bailed out of a plane on D-Day morning, and a couple of years ago on the anniversary of D-Day, he bailed out again, tandem with someone, and landed, and a member of the media walked up to him and said, "How was it?"
Yeah.
He says, "Well, it's better than last time they were shooting at me."
I hate to laugh at that, but at least he's got some a light attitude.
So our let me ask you, I know that our military today is asked to do an awful lot. It's a completely different world. But, sometimes we look and we just take it so much for granted, and especially that the National Guard plays such a big role in every place that we are in the world. Is and if you listen to critics right now, with Joe Biden in office and coming off President Trump, we're at a point where we've lost that ability to have a great America, like your father talked about. Have we lost that? Does it still exist?
Yeah, you go through the history of the country. It gets lost for a while, but somehow it always finds its way back. And, it's so important to remember these people, these vets that are serving now, the National Guard, vets you see that are old who were in other wars. Remember them every day, not just 2 days a year. I mean, really, remember them every day and thank them. But read history. One of the problems is we don't teach history.
Right.
And we need to really teach history, and you can't leave it up to the schools to teach history. We've got to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Teach history. I played golf with a kid a few years ago. I was asked to raise the American flag at the American Cemetery in Normandy. I was playing golf with a young man, 25 years of age. I told him what I was going to do. I was leaving the next day to go to France. And he looked at me and said, "Why is there an American cemetery in Normandy?"
Wow.
He had no idea.
Wow.
No concept.
Wow. Yeah.
And I asked him at the end of the golf game on the 18th hole, I said, "You know something? Did you think D-Day is when your report card came home?"
Yeah. Turns out it was.
Clearly.
Oh, yeah.
We are speaking.
So
yes.
The history so much. Teach the history to our younger ones, then they will be the ones to make America great.
We're speaking with Michael Reagan, the son of former president, the great Ronald Reagan. Do you are you uncomfortable at times? It's almost as if your dad's name is tossed around in comparison as much as Abraham Lincoln's these days. Oh, this is this. Here's another Ronald Reagan. This is so Ronald Reagan-esque. Does that sometimes bother you? And what would your father think?
Well, it does. I mean, it's an honor that people do that. But at the same time, if you're going to do it, get it right.
Right.
And what bothers me is when they don't get it right. And I guess that's why I'm the oldest living member of the Reagan family. I go back a long ways, and so I always tell people in college and stuff like that, if you want to call me, call me.
Yeah.
I'll sit down with you and talk to you and try and get you through this. And what I try to really tell some of these politicians, if they listen, they have trouble with that, is Ronald Reagan just didn't. Ronald Reagan spoke to us in parables. Really think about his speeches; they were stories.
Yeah.
And he spoke to us in parables. And when you heard his speech, you did more than hear it. You lived it. It infected you. It infected and affected you. You could listen to the speeches he gave today, and they're so relevant today as they were back when he gave the speech the first time.
Yeah. I have one last question. I've got 50 in my head. And I'm gonna waste it on this one, but I think it's a good one. What was it like for you? Because you were there when the transition occurred from Hollywood to the governorship to one of our greatest presidents. What was that like for you?
It's so different. I mean, it's just Hollywood's one thing. I was a Hollywood kid. My mother was an Academy Award-winning actress, Jane Wyman. My dad goes into politics. So I'm going, okay. In fact, my sister Patty's trying to put together a project with Netflix about how the world our family before the world crashed in.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because, like I tell people, I say, if you're going to run for office, you can have good news and bad news. The good news is you won the election. The bad news is you won the election. And it's absolutely true because whatever family you had disappeared.
Yeah.
Your family because your constituents and all that. So I had a great relationship with my dad, driving out to the ranch as a kid for so many years, and I had a great relationship afterwards.
Yeah.
And even with Alzheimer's, we found a way to communicate. But it's not easy when you have people like in my family who are so iconic.
Right.
How do you live up to that? I mean, I did radio for 26 years, and people would say, well, the only reason you did radio is because your father was Ronald Reagan. You go, like, at what year do I gain my own voice?
Yeah, you're right.
Is there a year in there where, hey, he's really pretty good?
Well, I got to tell you, you could just take it easy and put it on autopilot, and you're not. You are you're out there carrying on the legacy and making a difference for some very important people in our history, and for that, that's all you, Michael Reagan. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much. WalkwayToVictory.com.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Michael Reagan, walkwaytovictory.com is the website. Good grab there, Andrew Derminio.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, wild.